What is happening, people, and welcome back to my garage gym where there have been some upgrades. So what I thought I'd do for today's video is just kind of walk you guys through, give you a little bit of a tour, explain what we did upgrade, what we moved, why we did it, what we have, and why we have it, because every single piece of equipment that we do have here, we have for a reason. So I thank you guys so much for joining me, and let's get on to this tour. All right, so for those of you who've watched any of my training videos, you'll know that this is a lot more organized than all the dumbbells, kettlebells, and medicine balls just being stacked up on the floor, because we did purchase one of these 3-tier weight systems from Yoke, which was ridiculously expensive for what it was, but it did help organize things very nicely. Now, if you guys do notice on my dumbbells, I go from 5 to 50 and then they start making bigger jumps. The reason for that is because number one, my wife tends to use the dumbbells a little bit more than I do. And when I do use the dumbbells for exercises, typically they're smaller exercises, right? They're not like big compound movements. And for the big compound movements, I will start bringing in some of my heavier dumbbells. So right now I have 105s and then I'll bring in like 120s, 150s and stuff like that for pressing and things like that. But I don't really use, from like 100 down to like 60, I don't really use for much anything, so that's why we did not stock our gym with those for right now. And then kettlebells is just kind of an easy assortment, same with medicine balls and stuff like that. Weight plates and things, we only have a certain amount of bumpers, the rest is all going to be metal plates. But this has been very, very helpful, and it definitely cleaned things up a lot. Okay, so now this back corner got a lot less cluttered. If you guys remember, the yoke was in there, it was all packed in there. We really weren't using that much of the stuff because it was too hard to move it out and move back into stuff. So now this area is the home for the glued ham raise, as well as a keg and some random swords like sledgehammer, as well as a Viking press handle. Now, we do have a jump box that we don't really use that often. That is why it is kind of the place for the stereo and like dog treats and our protein shakes and stuff. But back here are the bands and straps and stuff like that. And I do use these all of the time, just different layers of bands, different types of straps for different types of movements, either be with sleds or stuff that goes around your neck for like hands-free deadlifts, things like that. These are knee wraps, which I am a fan of. I haven't used them in probably 2-3 years because I haven't really been pushing the weight that much, but hopefully I will be getting back to that now that I'm feeling a little bit better. The weighted chain for both dips as well as weighted pull-ups. This is a $5 piece of equipment that you should have in your gym, as well as a couple jump ropes just for agility and things like that, and then different level of bands, which are used for all sorts of things. Because in a gym like this, if you don't have any of the cable machines or really any machines at all, then bands kind of replace a lot of that, as well as if you're going to do anything with conjugate or just a lot of assistance stuff, bands can really help you out with that. The monster rack. So this is pretty much the rack that I use all the time, but I'll be honest with you guys, I don't like this rack as much as the other rack that I'm going to show you in a minute. That was the original rack that I bought when I opened NEVERsate. This I thought would be cool because it was like big and all kinds of stuff, but honestly it's way overdone for what I personally need. I did attach some of these by attach. I'm literally just hanging them from pegs. I got some ropes. I have some monolift arms that I bought a couple years ago thinking that it'd be really, really useful, but it's not. I ended up walking out with the monolift arms anyway. It's just I already have them, so I didn't purchase another set of J-cups. I do have my heavy duty chains, which are about 50 pounds each, so when you add it to the side, it's almost like adding another plate. Really, really convenient. A couple landmine attachments, a Rogue squat box, as well as an Elite FTS squat pad back there, which I use for any type of box squat or Bulgarian split squat type of things like that. Oh, and grenade handles up top. Grenades are just like 2.5 inch cylinder balls that you hold on to for pull-ups, things like that, because challenge your grip a lot more than just the barbell alone. It's also why the rope is there. Bars upon bars. So yes, we do have a lot of bars, and people make some comments about that, like, how many bars do you need? It's only like 1 or 2 of you, but it's not really true. We do have people come over and train with us, things like that. So that's a lot of times we do have the extra bars. But just going through them real fast, this is a deadlift bar, so you don't really use it for anything other than deadlifting. This is standard power bar. You just use those for any type of squat, bench, deadlift, anything like that. That's just what those are standard for. These two are axles made by 2 different companies, 2 different weights. I love using the axle for a lot of different things, and it is a great way to kind of be a governor to yourself on the days for like a deadlift, when you know you should not be going for a heavy deadlift, but you kind of still want to mentally go for a heavy deadlift. Then you do something that kind of throttles you back on its own, like using an axle, because then your grip is the limiting factor and your back hopefully doesn't get punished quite as bad. 2 different Swiss bars here. We have the Elite FTS American cambered bar right here, and then this is the Rogue Swiss bar. The reason why we have both of those is because the Elite FTS camber bar is one of my favorite upper body bars of all time. It really helps my shoulders. It's a terrific bar. I cannot recommend that thing enough. I do not really like the Rogue Swiss bar, but my wife does. It hurts her shoulders less. So we had two of them over at NEVERsate. So when we opened up this gym, we left one at NEVERsate and we have one here now too. Below that's just another power bar. This is the Duffalo bar, this rusty bar. Yes, I know a lot of people get really, really upset with me about how rusty my stuff is, but it's an open air gym in the middle of the woods, so sorry. The Duffalo bar, I use occasionally, I probably use it less than a lot of the other ones. Really, really good for if my shoulders are killing me, I can kind of drop in, and it is really good for locking in. A little bit heavier than a standard barbell, but honestly, other than for squatting, sometimes benching, I don't really use it for much other than that. The Elite FTS Yoke bar. I have had the Elite FTS Yoke bar as well as the Rogue SSB, and I like the Elite FTS Yoke bar 1,000 times more if you're actually trying to get strong and work your squat. But if you're going for a PR, use the Rogue SSB. You'll be able to use a lot. I mean, substantially more weight you can move on the Rogue SSB than you can the Elite FTS Yoke bar. So honestly, for lower body, you cannot go wrong with the Elite FTS Yoke bar, and for upper body, you cannot go wrong with the Elite FTS American Camber bar. I'm not getting paid to say either one of those things. Those are two things that I would say I fall back on regularly, and if you get any type of tweaks or injuries or anything like that, then you can use those to kind of help you through it. They're just very, very useful and versatile. Below that is just two logs. One woman's log, one's men's log, which honestly don't get used that much right now because we're not really getting into much strongman competition currently. They still get brought out every once in a while for the fun of it because log is definitely more fun than just pressing a barbell. That said, it's also a lot more painful and a lot harder. I don't have a good answer for you, I'm just not doing log right now. All right, so as I mentioned earlier, I actually like this rack better than the monster rack. Yes, that one's taller, it's more impressive, it looks cooler, but I think this rack works better for what I actually use. It's got the multi-grip pull-up bar, which I use all the time, especially for weighted pull-ups, and it also kind of slopes down on the edges, so that's a little bit easier on my shoulders on the days when I don't feel really good. Just the same way that like a Swiss bar or a cambered bar is going to hurt my shoulders a little bit less than a straight bar, just less external rotation. We have the Matador up there from Rogue for dips as well as like wide grip semi-supinated pull-ups. The pull-up bar in the back has two pull-up bars. One is a fat grip, like an actual, like a 2-inch, and then the other one's just kind of standard pull-up bar, 1 and whatever inch that's going to be. But I love this rack. It's great for setting up bands on. I cannot say enough good things about it. It's held up against myself, Olu, Nick, like world champions. Everyone's beat this rack up, and it literally is no worse for the wear than it was when we opened NEVERsate almost 10 years ago. So I absolutely love it. I think it is something MS91 something. I had to look it up. 395, 6, 9er, I don't know. Oh, also a really helpful tool for home gyms is that Elite FTS soft box down there. Now you can't really use it for box jumps or anything like that because it is incredibly flippy because it is super, super light. However, you can literally just flip it. You get 3 different heights for different box squat things, and it's just a really useful thing to have around the gym to kind of move around, whether it be used as like a step ladder, a shelf, a box squat, or whatever. It's nice and light, sturdy, and can move around. But again, just trust me, don't do it. Don't try to jump, don't try to step up on it. Now over here is just kind of miscellaneous. There's a couple pieces of PVC for either warming up or something to like foam roll. We use PVC for foam rolling. The 18-inch dumbbell handles as well as the loading pin that I showed you guys how to make a couple weeks ago are living right there. And then that bucket's just full of like collars and wraps and straps and just different miscellaneous type of stuff like that. Sled, skateboard for screwing around as well as helping to move around like sandbags and things like that when you're exhausted at the end and you don't want to move them around. Just throw it on top of the skateboard and push it along like a dolly. And then we have 2 different sets of farmer sandals here. We have a top loaded and a front loaded because depending on the competition, it's good to practice your turns and stuff with the implement that you're actually going to be using. And thanks to my newest sponsor, we are now rounding out the sandbag collection because sandbags are something that we use literally every single workout, so it's really nice to have a different variety of sizes, shapes, weights, all types of things like that. And like I said, this is my latest sponsor. So if you guys are in the market for sandbags or virtually any sort of strength equipment, make sure that you head over to Service Strength US and use the code NEVERsate to save yourself 10% on anything on the site. And then living next to sandbags is a 500-pound tire. So it's not too heavy, it's not really light whatsoever, but it's really good for conditioning stuff and just the things that I'm pretty much gonna be doing here. And if I'm not getting ready for a competition that has heavy tire flips in it, then 500 pounds is probably plenty for my biceps and myself. And then what I am sitting on right here is the Rogue T-Bar row. I am a huge fan of this piece of equipment, not only because I like the T-Bar row, and you guys all know how much of a fan of a row I am. It has 2 different handle settings, which is very, very nice. A lot of weight you can load on this thing, but also you can take pins here and load it up so that you can do banded T-bar rows, which is really, really nice because then when you're in the top, you are actually pulling against something that's fighting you back, and it helps you get a little extra contraction. You can't go as heavy, but it doesn't really matter. It's helping you use your back really, really well. So absolutely love this piece of equipment. And in this little pocket right here, we finally found a place that works for the yoke. Now I turned it this way so that literally you can just walk up and start loading over it without needing to set it up, but it's very easily moved out into the middle of the floor for more interesting activities. We have the heavy bag, and it's easy enough to move this yoke out of the way so you can get full 360 around the heavy bag. And then also have a Prowler as well as some battle ropes back here. I'll be honest with you, the Prowler doesn't come out very often right now because of my Achilles and things like that, but guys, it's been getting better and better. I'm gonna show you guys some of the training that I've been doing for that. And interestingly enough, a couple other pieces of equipment that we have purchased for our health, I guess, but are not living in the gym currently, is a self-propelled treadmill and a salt runner, maybe. I probably screwed that up. Anyway, I like it a lot. It's going very, very well. I've been picking up a little bit of running and feeling really, really good. And the reason for that is because my Achilles and my calf problem have been able to be rehabbed a lot because of like this balance board thing that I've been playing with, and also a slack block. So I've been working with both these as well as stretching and doing things like that. But I know on my last video, my training highlights video, a lot of people mentioned that sitting on a calf raise to stretch out helped their Achilles, and I do appreciate that very, very much in the advice, guys. But then my problem isn't that it's tight. My problem is that I have a bunch of micro tears inside of there, and so when I overstress it, they grab, and then literally my calf is like locked up, and it affects a lot of things. And my entire property is like literally, I'm not exaggerating, it's like a 45 at minimum degree angle, so I'm never walking on a flat surface. So working a couple different things, but the balance stuff really has been helping a lot, and it's been allowing me to get back into running. And like I've made in an Instagram post, guys, I am never gonna run a marathon. I am not a runner. I hate long distance. I am not running long distance since something with teeth is chasing me. But I do like sprints. I like hill sprints. I like being able to know that I can take off sprinting for 200 meters and I won't die. Currently, I can't really say that that's probably the case, so I'm working on it. Anyway, people, I do really appreciate you guys joining me for this tour, and I thank you guys so much for just kind of being patient with me with these last 2 videos, being a little bit more just kind of discussing. I wanted to be very much like you walked into my gym and I just kind of showed you around like a tour. I didn't want it to seem very choppy or cut up. I just wanted to have it kind of conversational, very similar to my last training highlights video. This is just something I'm playing around with and experiment with. When I'm teaching, I like it to be a little bit more precise, so there's a lot of meat in a little bit of time. But for something like this, I like to tell you a little bit of stories or a little bit of background. So I hope you guys did enjoy it, and I hope you guys do like the home gym. If you guys have suggestions for things that you think that I should add, or something you're like, hey man, you might want to upgrade this, or whatever the case may be, please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. But I do thank you guys so much for absolutely everything that you do to help support me, to help support the channel, just all the positivity. I really, really do appreciate it. We'll catch you guys later in the week. Until I do go out something amazing, realize, keep working hard, people. Be nice to each other. I'm gonna go bench. No, man noises.